Uranium degenerates checking in on the ETF. So URA, URNJ, sorry, URNM, URNJ. So, um, we've had that great big gap up move. It's almost, retrospectively looking like a little bit of an exhaustion move for this particular swing pivot area. So since we've drawn down, gap filled. Since we've drawn down, gap filled. Since we've drawn down, gap not filled, right? So, so subtle differences like URNJ. If you look at that metric just by itself, well, guess what? Relative strength in URNJ. And it does make some sense. So some longer term players in a space, which I am, probably not as long as some of you other psychos that have probably been in this trade for over 10 years or whatever. I don't even want to get into that, but I've been in it since early 2021. um, Longer term players might be, I know they are already. They're looking towards the shift towards the lower tier explorers and juniors, and URNJ is representative of that. So it does, in a way, make some sense that URNJ, as far as the gap metric is concerned, is holding up a little bit better, right? So while URA and URNM continue to make new lows, URNJ is not doing that, as a matter of fact, right? So URNJ, if you just took URNJ by itself with no fundamentals in the space, nothing of pure charting perspective, it's put in a double bottom here on the daily. So, and it's not particularly indicative of the fact that it can't go lower. One would have to use multiple time frame analysis on that. And, on just a quick look, I want to see what the hourly is doing. So the hourly uh, has changed its trend, which is actually, that's a first sign. So, you know, when people say you can't catch bottoms, well, you can, right? And this is exactly how you do it, right? So the moment that the hourly changes its trend, um, one of the things that you could rightly assume is that the daily higher low, the daily low, higher low, the level is in, right? And you're proven wrong if it loses this trend change. So, low, high, higher low, higher high. So you have your hourly trend change. Hourly trend changes will then turn into 4-hour trend changes, which will then turn into daily trend changes. And that's what we want, right? So, um, good sign with the hourly trend change with URNJ. So does that say, okay, well, let's look to URNM and URA and see if they're going to follow suit? Is your URNJ going to be the leader this time? Well, I don't know, but I do know that the basic sentiment in the sector from the normal players that I've been following and watching and fighting with and conversing with for the past couple of years, they're more keen at this point on the juniors. So it makes a little sense. So yeah, so now we're looking at this 4 hours, and what do you want to see? You want to see the 4 hour do exactly what the 1 hour did, which is, here's your move, make this high, wherever it tops out, come back and make a higher low and then a higher high. There's your 4 hour trend change, which would then lead to your daily trend change. So, here's a perfect example um, of it, right? So here's your low. There's your 4 hour high. Here's your 4 hour higher low. So really, what you want to see is, this now becomes a very key level, the 2830, right? Because that's going to confirm the 4 hour trend change back to the bulls. So, but these are all kind of big moves. So we'll see what happens with URNJ. Um, Back to it with URA. So we're going to take a look at URA first. So check in our favor, Bulls' favor. When I say our, we're Bulls, right? So we got the gap fill, and it reacted a little bit off of this 50% retracement. This Fibonacci is a pretty solid Fibonacci, solid levels to work off of. 50% retracement, kind of like where you want to see it save itself. It did. So we're gonna need more from that, right? So even on this previous bounce, what was that? Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Thursday, Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday had good bounces with a hard rejection, which made a lower low and confirmed continuation of this daily downtrend. So you got your downtrend off of this pivot right here, right? Once you made this low, you confirmed your daily downtrend. The 12 EMA that was acting as support is now kind of acting as resistance. So we'll have to see how that plays. You can get a little deeper in, and there's nothing here that tells you reversal is in the works at the moment, right? So the 4 hour is still just grinding down, and it's URA, so it moves a lot slower. It's just normally what it's going to do. It just doesn't, even though the percentage moves are kind of equal to URNM. It just seems like this thing moves slower and less extreme, but it doesn't really if you do a full technical analysis on the percentage changes. But regardless of that, we have this 50% retracement. We have the gap fill. We have the bounce off of it. The first thing you want to see is we need to take out Thursday's high for there to be any hope. It doesn't have to necessarily close above it, but so this is a key level now. This 50% retracement has become a very key level. It's sitting on this volume shelf. Um, Commodities love to trend, right? What's it doing? 50-day, the 50-day moving average and a 50-day exponential. That's what these two are. This undercut here was the rebalancing and the dividend, not the rebalancing, dividend distribution and all that. So, and I remember I posted the chart is broken, and this is a break. This is a pretty big break with a great snapback. Listen, the bulls are very, very strong in this space. That's why I love this space. That's why I know normally when I trim into strength, I'm pretty much going to get another opportunity to reload. You do what you want to do. Again, people that have regular lives and jobs and they don't spend all their time focused on the markets, these small gyrations aren't much. But I'm always on the lookout to see, does this small gyration turn into something bigger? Um, this had the look that it was going to, right? But there was a fundamental reason here, and a lot of the bulls held conviction, and very good on their part. I held conviction as well. I'm not day trading URA, that's for sure. But regardless of that, so we still have this metric of this moving average, and this is quite the undercut. But a very quick snapback rally tells you bulls are strong, bulls are convicted, great stuff, right? So next couple of days, URA is rebalancing. We got CCJ coming up with their earnings. We got Kazatomprom coming up with all the hullabaloo with their production issues, and whether any of that is true, who knows? Um, you know, Again, perma bulls are like, oh, this could be the new MacArthur Lake, whatever. I don't look at it that way. I'm just following the technicals. Okay. Um, yeah. So a good little bounce. Unsurprising rejection. So this level is becoming pertinent. A couple of rejections here. We'll see what happens in the next coming days. URA looks fine, really, other than that undercut. I mean, this is quite the move. Um, you know, this weekly bull flag, it's starting to, there's some warning signs, right? So ideally, you want the bull flag to hold the 38% retracement. Well, it didn't, and it's closed below. So these metrics are kind of important. Golden pocket right here, 28.38 to what, 28.60. Usually good buying opportunities, but you have this shelf here that's hopefully is acting as support. So there's a lot going on right at this level, um, where it's a decent support. If not, then you've got some chop to get through here on the way back down to this level. So the key longer term level, obviously, right? 2661, and that's where this last pivot was. That is the key level for the people that are long term looking. That's a key level, and because that brings you down into this area here. You lose that level, you're probably looking down to 24, 25 area. Okay. That's the most. Let's see if we glean anything from the monthly. Yeah, not much. I mean, this is all one straight move. So again, monthly consolidation would not be surprising. URNM is probably going to have a very similar look on the daily. Gap is filled. 26 EMA, 12 EMA now acting as resistance, which was one support. It chops around these moving averages a lot. So all things considered, these two, the 12 and 26, not the most solid thing. You can see a lot of chopping and undercut here. So I don't get caught up on it. But what do get caught up on? Well, these 250, this double 50-day moving averages are pretty key metrics, right? So that's what I'm looking at. So and URNM, I mean, if again, a spot to be buying, in my opinion, and where I'm going to buy. What did I do up here? Well, I sold some covered calls against position up here. I sold April 60s, $60 strike April's, and someone say, oh, well, why 60? Well, one, it's a round number, but two, it was around that the Fibonacci extension, the 23% extension. So pretty good shot there. I debated covering it and buying it back. I'm at like 50% gain on those calls that I sold. I debated, but I gave it another day because this 12 is kind of now acting as resistance. So we'll see. Here's a key level, and I'm probably going to try Monday or Tuesday. I'm probably going to try to cover on those sold calls. I will be interested in maybe adding to my URNM position down in here because it becomes, kind of low risk. So can I stand a $4 drawdown? Maybe we'll see. We'll see how the action is, but I view this as a pretty key level. Why? Fibonacci 61% retracement. If anybody knows Fibonacci's, that is the golden pocket. You often get reversals and reactions in that area. 1. 2, double 50-day moving average, which is a great metric on this daily chart for URNM. 3, coming into major volume support here. Okay, so those are 3 good, solid technical indicators that can tell me, hey, it's a buying area. Previous breakout, number 4, right? So there's a lot telling me that I should be a buyer targeting somewhere in that area. Now, there are other people looking at the same thing. So possible that there's a front run, a little bit above. We'll see. Let's see if the weekly gives us any indications at that level as well. Yeah, not much. I mean, it's the same thing we discussed, right? Volume shelf, uh, previous breakout level, moving averages. That's where I am with URNM. I'm going to be looking to buy back my calls within the next day or two. And I will be looking to add to the position at some point. Maybe I'll not only buy the calls back, but maybe I'll also buy some additional 60s, or maybe I'll put a spread on. We'll see. I don't know yet. I have to see how the reactions go. Again, it's like these are, there is technical analysis, but there's also fundamental analysis. And we have some fundamental events coming within the next 2 weeks. So they're binary as far as I'm concerned. Everybody's going to say, oh, it's bullish, it's bullish, it's bullish. Well, everybody's bullish on Kazatomprom missing their production numbers Why aren't they buying the crap out of this right now? Right? Everybody knows about that. Why aren't they buying it? So the market's telling you something a little bit different. You know, is are we just getting run down because they want to pop it back up for the news? Maybe. All I know is that this thing is in a daily, confirmed daily downtrend. That's what it's in. Weekly is solid. 2 weeks of weekly consolidation. Um, I'm trying to see if there's any metrics. Not really, because URNM's it's a nutty ETF. But anyway, 2 solid weeks of weekly consolidation and closing near the lows of this last week. So nothing at the moment tells me to be a buyer or to be covering my sold calls. And that's kind of where I'm standing with URNM at the moment. But I do have conviction on the technical front on this level as a buying area. And I will be a buyer over here. I definitely will be a buyer. I just don't know. I have to see what the action is going to be on how I'm going to deal with my stop loss because I don't know if I want to have that big of a drawdown. I probably will because, I'm just adding to my core position anyway. URNJ, like I said in the beginning, it's stronger and it's showing a little bit of a sign of a reversal. But this, in technical analysis world, we call this a little bit of a moving average squeeze. So it's getting squeezed in between these two averages, between the 12 and the 5. Now, I don't put a ton of weight on the yellow line. I do use it more for crosses and whatnot. So, but there is a little bit of a moving average squeeze here. And like I said earlier in the video, we did get that little hourly trend change. So we're looking for the 4 hour next. You get a 4 hour trend change. Um, that's a really positive look in my opinion, because this is an equity, even though, I'm still as cautious as anyone can be, because this gap hasn't filled, and it has filled on the other two ETFs. URNJ is, I guess you could call it a rider also with this 50 EMA, so this is the URNM level, by the way, right here, this low. So let me just mark it for you. URNM's level that I want to work off of is right here, 2439 on URNJ. This is that little spike down wick that you can see on URNM, right? It's right there. See that? That's what that is. That's what that is with URNJ. So much, it's stronger, but these guys are, you know, for the most part, URA and URNM have kind of been the leaders for URNJ. So, watching closely, does that change? Because that's going to tell you, for the people of the sector players, maybe it is time to start rotating into some of these smaller names. And right now, for the very immediate time, it's kind of saying that. Does that dynamic change? Does this follow suit? We'll see. But again, URNJ, low, high, lower, high, higher, low. So URNJ is working sideways at the moment. I mean, it is a confirmed daily downtrend, but it's just moving sideways now, while the other two are still kind of dipping a little bit lower. So time will tell. URNJ, I'm kind of, I want to see a gap fill, but I'm going to be smart enough to know, and this is much more of a better trader too. This one's great to trade, even on daily swings and whatnot. I don't day trade it, but I will take some daily swings at it. Liquidity is there, and price point is there to be able to make some trades on it and to size up a little bit and trim down and leave zero risk runners in place in case it keeps going. Yeah, that's it with URNJ. We did get this little cross here. We'll see how that plays out. That's on the 4 hour. URNJ sideways a little bit stronger than the other ETFs, only due to the fact that it did not fill its gap and it did have an hourly trend change, and the others have not. So, is it leading the way? Don't know. Is there 1,000 pound uranium coming? Don't know. Is there going to be a major um, consolidation, monthly consolidation, drawdown? Don't know. Is it possible? Do we need it? Maybe. Um, this thing hasn't really consolidated ever. If you think about it that way, you can't really call this action anything other than, again, when this thing came out, I was a buyer down here, so I've got a pretty good core hanging out from down here. And, I'd love to add. Definitely sold some also. So we'll see. Over and out.